All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Let's see. There we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Boss Talk, a special edition of Boss Talk this evening, a special roundtable edition. Looking forward to this talk. Hello. Give people a minute or so to come on in. Thanks for joining me tonight. Looking forward to this talk, and I hope you find this informative and fun. Hi there. Welcome. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Beverly Brister, the host of Boss Talk and the owner of Beverly's Web Shop. And thank you all for joining us this evening. I'm looking forward to a great conversation tonight, and I hope you all find it informative and just great for people who are in business, for people making decisions for their home, and just something to take away with them tonight. Again, thank you so much for coming. We have a special roundtable edition where we're talking about emerging from COVID-19. So I want to introduce my guests tonight. We have three wonderful guests. First, we have Dr. Lori Colyer-Aversa. She's a pediatrician. She's been a pediatric doctor practicing for over 20 years in the New Jersey area. My second guest will be Megan Brill. She's the executive director of the Downtown West Orange Alliance in West Orange, New Jersey. And we have a special commemorative performance from my husband, Carl Brister. He's a recording artist and also an educator. So again, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. So I'm going to start talking with Dr. Aversa first, because top of mind right now. Hi, Dr. Aversa. How are you?
Thank you. If you hear barking, it's my dog.
That's mine are probably bark and want to go outside too. So, so I want to start with you, since right now the top of mind thing are these vaccines, and especially this morning, and it's like a fast moving train. Like this morning, we heard from the CDC and the FDA that they were pulling the Johnson & Johnson vaccine due to some serious cases that they found. What's your professional opinion on what we're hearing and what we're seeing with this move of what's going on with that vaccine?
With the Johnson & Johnson vaccine?
Correct.
So I also just heard, and really it's, the information is coming in gradually. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you need to know is that the original vaccines that came out, the Pfizer vaccines, which millions of doses have been given, and the Moderna also, which millions of doses have been given. Most people are immunized. Those are the 2-dose vaccines. Now, what we know about that is that it's a completely different means or mode of manufacturing, which is the reason why it came out so quickly. They use the actual genetic materials of the virus, and that's how we get our immunity from it, because it's that is what's injected, not the virus itself. So it makes it safer, in that the concerns about actually getting the disease from the vaccine is not going to happen. So that won't happen. Now, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a completely different story. That is made the way most vaccines are made. And they do utilize some of the materials that the people have allergic reactions to or sensitivities to. And so there is the potential for adverse effects. And because they just have not been given enough of the vaccine to determine the adverse effects, as the vaccine rolls out, we're going to discover what those things are. And then we have to discover whether or not those things are, whether those reactions are coincidental, or whether they actually truly are a result of the vaccine. So taking a little pause is the wise thing to do, and then moving forward once they get a better idea about what's happening. So that's the scoop.
All right. And, I just jumped right in here because I know like I said, vaccines are top of mind. I went and got the first Moderna vaccine myself this morning. And, but, I jumped in without even really having the audience get to know you a little bit better. So can you please share with the audience a little more about who you are and your practice?
So I am Dr. Colyer-Aversa. I'm a practicing pediatrician in Bloomfield, New Jersey. I have been practicing various modes of solo practice over 25 years. And the name of the practice is Bloom Ridge Pediatrics, and we are affiliated with Primary Care Partners Atlantic Health System.
Okay. All right. Great. And she is a wonderful pediatrician. I can vouch for that. So now we know that in our communities, it's been a little hesitancy with people of color getting the vaccine, and rightfully so, because of, there's been a lot of history, which some people may not be familiar with, but there's been history of our people being tested for various things and a lot of different reasons. But what is your take on, in your professional opinion, on how people of color should proceed and move forward with the vaccine?
Because, like I said, I understand people's hesitancy. I completely understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do understand the history of not just people of color, but other groups that are on the fringes of society, whether it's people who are incarcerated, people who with developmental disabilities, have all had their share of being enrolled in studies without their knowledge. So it's important that the institutions, and I attended a Black Health Matters conference, and this very astute scientist was saying that, when we have a seat at the table, then we can help to make the decisions that can help protect us. So I think that as we are on the boards and as we are on the health committees and the quality assurance committees for not just for institutions, but also for all of these, hospitals and major organizations that are not just funding, but also are the pharmaceutical companies as well, that are promoting these, new, not just vaccines, but other modes of therapy, that we're included. And it's important that we are, because if they're only using one segment of the society to test for a certain medication, we don't know whether or not it has a different effect for, people of color or for women, for that matter. So it's important that, we pay attention to that, and that we trust and verify.
What was interesting is that in my visit this morning to get my vaccine, I ran into one of the healthcare workers there. She was African American herself, and I, just asked her if she had taken which of the vaccines she had taken, and she, adamantly was like, none. And I'm not going to take it. I'm like, well, that's pretty interesting there. And then she went on to explain how, because of her culture, she has a Haitian American background and feels that, she needs to see a little bit more before, she goes through. But she knows that eventually she will take it. So she has in her mind already that she knows she's going to eventually take it, and she knows it is the better way to go. It's just that she's not rushing to get that done right now. And I guess there are some folks and some groups as well that feel that they'll wait till the very last minute before getting taking the vaccine.
And I understand that. And the hope is that she won't get COVID while she's waiting, right? So is that risk. So for that reason, it's so important, even if you have received the vaccine, and I got the Pfizer vaccine, it is still important to continue with the social distancing, with the hand washing, with the wearing of our masks, all of the home hygiene, all of those things that we've been doing throughout the entire pandemic, we need to continue to do.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I cannot wash my hands enough. I tell you, I have to have hand sanitizer and lotion with me all the time because it's like constantly in
Yeah.
water. It's like, wash your hands. And kids come in from outside, wash your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I also know that they're working on vaccines for children under 16, and right now I believe 16 is the cutoff. What's your professional opinion on whether or not children should be able to visit family or just travel and be amongst different groups since they can't get vaccinated right now?
So the recommendations, just like you said, things change almost daily, right? So as of April the 19th to come, the vaccines will be available to everyone 16 years and over in New Jersey. So that's the newest recommendation. It is still eligible for children 12 and over if you have an underlying medical condition. So if asthma or any other vulnerabilities, cancer, what have you, any immunocompromised individuals, they all can 12 and over also get the vaccine. And the expectation is that the vaccine will be eligible to even the children all the way down to infancy, probably over the next several months, because clinical trials are underway now. And we're relying on clinical trials, not just in the United States, but globally. Okay.
Right.
So we're gathering information. And the confidence that we have in vaccinating the children has mostly to do with the fact that as the more vaccines are given, the more confidence we have in terms of looking at the adverse effects. Now, we don't know whether or not there's going to have long-term immunity because enough time just hasn't passed. So we have to wait until time passes for us to determine whether or not the immunity that we get from the vaccine will last for more than several months. We know, unfortunately, that having the COVID virus, having the actual infection or being exposed to it and being positive for COVID does not give you necessarily lasting immunity, maybe for a couple of months, but it tends to wane. And for that reason, people are susceptible to getting the COVID virus after they've already had the virus. They can get it a second time. Now, with these additional strains, there's the concern that people can get the worsening strain of the virus. For that reason, it's so important that people get their vaccine because, as far as we know, it's 95% effective, and we're still studying. So far, several months out, people are still immune. So it's a good idea to get the vaccine.
Okay. All right. Do you find that, I guess, as technology continues and we go farther along with the vaccines, that you believe that the length of the span of time that in which we'll still be immune with the vaccine will continue to grow? Because if it's averaging about, let's say, 4 to 6 months over time, do you find that it will expand to, like, now it'll cover you for about 9 months or 12 months?
Well, we don't know. We won't know until that much time has passed. And the hope is that it has lasting immunity for years. So most of the vaccines that you get in childhood also will wane over time, but usually they last for years. Some vaccines don't take at all, or they have, but because what we know in pediatrics is that immunizing children, we believe that an acceptable vaccine efficacy rate is 40 to 60% for some of the vaccines, and some of the vaccines are not more than 80% effective. This seems to be over 95% effective, so this is pretty incredible. So it's a good thing.
Yes. We know. Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
No. So you were asking a question about, what to do about children and having them return to school. We also need to have confidence about bringing them back into the school especially for the next school year, the upcoming school year. It is important that they vaccinate, but also, it's important for parents to look at whatever the plan is that the school district and the individual school that their child is attending, what their plan is for the child, for all of the children resuming their school. And it is important for all educators to go ahead and get their vaccine so that they're protected. And we have to remember that most of the children who have tested positive, it doesn't seem to be occurring because of their attendance in school. For those outbreaks, those school outbreaks, those children who are testing positive, the majority of them have tested positive because of their interaction with their own household members. So their own family members are the ones who are making them sick. And most of that is occurring because of, congregating during the holidays. So what we've learned is the power of these masks, right? The masks and the social distancing and the hand washing all play a huge, huge role in preventing the virus, getting the virus. And people are concerned about, when you're, the touching and of surfaces. And we had discussed this earlier. It is important to clean the surfaces, but that comes very far, second, third, fourth removed from the distancing and the conversational speech. And, when you're having a meal together, if you're sitting across from someone and you're, having your drinking and talking and laughing and all of that, that's how the virus is being spread.
Okay. Absolutely. Let me switch gears a little bit. And as an African-American woman and female medical doctor, I'm sure, as you've gone on with your career, you've experienced, or at least, definitely when you started out and maybe still now, experienced some challenges because of that. What advice would you give to someone a person of color that would want to start off in the medical field and perhaps branch out and have their own practice like yourself?
Well, that's an interesting question, mainly because, New Jersey is one of the few places where the cottage industry still exists, but it is fast waning. And the reason is because the way that the system is set up in terms of how we're reimbursed and how we're paid is, pretty much dictated by a whole strata and complicated system of the insurance and risk factors and your patient population. It's very complicated. So for that reason, I have joined Primary Care Partners, and which is very unique setup in that, I can function fairly autonomously, but under the umbrella of an accountability organization, so that I have the opportunity to learn from my colleagues, continue to converse with them, and to garnish their support from an administrative standpoint. So my recommendation for anyone who is wanting to do primary care, and I think that there is still a need for people to continue to do family practice, pediatrics, internal medicine, that is necessary. And it's very rewarding, and it is worth it. It is worth it. It's worth the struggle. So, remember that when you're young and you're have just completed school, you are a hot commodity, because so never think that you are in any way. You may look at people who are older as master clinicians because of their experience, and that may be true, but the truth of the matter is that you're on the cutting edge of everything, and you need to continue to hone those skills and consider yourself hot stuff.
That's
a boss.
Yes. Absolutely a boss. Yes. And I can say that it is nice and comforting to, being totally honest that, when I go to a professional location of whatever it is, a doctor's office or any other business, and I see a person of color, in a position of, where they can make decisions and make a difference, it is comforting, and it's inspiring as well. And it's something that, I'm sure other families feel comforted by when they see that, and can help them to, not go to the doctor, or not, do the thing they're supposed to, because it's like, well, here's someone here that will understand what I'm talking about and what I'm dealing with. So that's definitely needed in communities. Absolutely. Well, please let everyone know who may be looking for a pediatrician where they can find you.
So I'm in Bloomfield, 1310 Broad Street in Bloomfield. We don't have a website, but you can go onto the Primary Care Partners, pcpnj.org, and that is our website, and you'll find the links to the office and information about the office.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And I want to bring my next guest in on the conversation, Miss Megan Brill. Hello there.
Hi there.
First, I want to say that you have got to be the hardest working official that I've seen in and around West Orange. And I think your office shows that too.
I know. I have to do something about my background. It's very busy back here.
So you let the audience know, tell the audience about you and what you do for West Orange.
So I'm the executive director with the Downtown Alliance. I've been in downtown for 8 years as the official director. And prior to that, I was just a volunteer, care a lot about West Orange and downtown. My husband and I own a business in the corridor, and have always been involved in one way or the other. It's funny because Dr. Versa was talking about Bloomfield, and Bloomfield has a similar me, Olin, who is the greatest guy around. And actually, Olin and I were talking just recently about how we're one of the oldest executive directors, or longest executive directors, which is a little crazy. But I loved her talk. I thought she was great.
Thank you. Thank you. And she'll be back.
Good.
So, now that we're a year out from the pandemic, and you've been obviously 8 years, and you were here before it happened, and now here we are a year after, and dealing with small businesses coming in and out of the town. What have they experienced during this time, especially at the height of it last year? What were they experiencing?
Yeah, I think that the best way to explain them is to say that they're fragile. I think that what we've seen is the spirit of small business and the entrepreneurness, where they've adapted, they've tried to listen to the governor's guidance about staying open, closing. A lot of the businesses were closed and hanging on for a long time. And I think that what we've seen is truly them trying to hang on and do whatever they need to do to stay in business.
Okay. So a year out, I'm sure there were a lot of lessons learned and you figured out new ways to do things. What are some new activities that were born from, what you've experienced with the businesses from last year?
Yeah, well, I think that our two biggest mixes of business downtown are beauty and hair salons and our restaurant inventory. And with the help of the Mayor Parisi's executive order, we've been able to bend and suspend a lot of the outdoor dining rules. So where we're normally not able to have outdoor dining on the curbside, we've been able to pop up outdoor seating, and you should start seeing that more and more as the weather gets a little bit nicer and the winds stop blowing around. So that definitely has been a change for our restaurants. The other thing is that the takeout side of things, we try to divide on our website and our inventory the businesses that are sit down, and then the ones that are takeout, and pretty all of the businesses have become takeout. And they've had to really learn how to do that efficiently, whether it's, plastic utensils or cardboard, which is much more economically friendly, and getting posts on the website about their limited menu. A lot of the businesses had a vast majority of things that you can order, but it's difficult keeping all of that kind of stuff fresh. So what we've seen is that they've, saw real quick that they needed to just offer their specials and be able to advertise that. And that is taken on. I think for our hair salons and a lot of the other businesses that are downtown, they've had to limit capacity inside. So they're working longer hours with less people inside. So they used to start, first appointment was at 9, now it's 7:30. And they would go till 8 or 9 o'clock because they can get that many people in the door. When I say that the business owners have been fragile, one of the things that they've had to decide is, do I, as the business owner, that is the, hair cutter, do I just monopolize all the time, the 8-10 hours a day that I'm going to work, or do I share my space with the gal that's been working for me for 5 years and let her have somebody in the chair and then I sit out? So these are really hard decisions that our business owners have made, had no choice but to make, but are soulful and, really, really difficult. And the fact that they're, pushing forward and staying in business is great to the people that have continued to support them. Which is important.
And it's definitely so important to shop local. That's more than just a hashtag and a sign that we put in people's window. It's people's livelihoods. And, we get to see that firsthand and experience it, especially, I personally have tried to make it a point to go to the local stores in the area and patronize them because some of their kids go to school with my kids, and I can understand that. So it's definitely important. Yeah. Now, excuse me. What would you say is why would a small business with their local downtown, because it may not be called like a downtown alliance, but why should they connect with the local town for their chamber of commerce, their downtown alliance? What are the benefits for them?
Well, I think that there's two groups or two categories that every business owner should participate in. One is their professional group. So if they're a restaurant, the Restaurants Association. If they're a hairstylist, then the hairstylist group of people. During COVID, there's been very specific guidelines for each one of those kinds of business types, and those professions know what the rules are. So that should always be your first line of defense in trying to figure out. Granted, we've never had this before, and hopefully we'll never have to go through this again. But that's been their best evidence of information on what to do. The second part, and it is one of the things that is really important in selling a downtown storefront, when you get to have a partnership with a downtown organization similar to the Bloomfield Downtown Alliance or the Downtown West Orange Alliance, and there's probably 35 downtowns in Essex County that have groups like us. But our whole job, we have in West Orange, it's just me and a little bit of Joe Fagan, volunteers that are dedicated to trying to help support, build, and promote the businesses that are here. So it is a benefit. The other part of that is that sometimes there's grant money, and there's been a whole lot of PPP loans and grants and information that is completely overwhelming My husband and I own a company as well, and trying to figure out the PPP loan and reading and trying to understand it all was was tough. I could say that, and maybe New Jersey is a little bit different. We do have access to, everything that's happened across the entire, U.S. But in New Jersey, the best banks or the best relationships have been with our local banking. Ricky and I were able to get a PPP loan because of our relationship with our local bank. And they helped us lead us through. Being part of the Downtown Alliance, we had access to grants. And while Essex County gave out $30 million, which is a ton of money, it was gone in 5 minutes.
I believe it.
Yeah, so we geared everybody up. We gave them the application. Actually, the state of New Jersey helped the county with great 101 on this is what you need to do. It's going to go live on Monday at 9. This is what the application looks like. Fill it out over the weekend, get this information, and bam, at 9:01, hit send. And even with that, the money was gone so quick. And it's hard. They're trying, they're business owners, so they're trying to figure out, how they're going to make payroll or service their customer. And by the way, fill out this form that maybe you have like a 1% in a million chance of getting a loan or a grant. So it's hard, and it definitely is that mental pressure that I think is the other part of what the Downtown Alliance really can do for our business owners is they just need that shot in the arm, if you will. Just that you can keep going, and the Facebook posts and just the, hi, we're here, and, you have the greatest, wings we could ever find. So, we've done a lot of that. Our organization has tried to be out and visible. January and February tend to be tough small business months. Folks want to stay inside, and it's cold and dark.
And they're paying off bills from the holiday.
Yeah, there you go. You want to, you don't want to eat too much, and you don't want to spend money. And that's past us now, and we're gearing up for a good spring. We're hoping. I'm sure there's a question coming about what's coming up, but we are gearing up for trying to help with special events, some smaller, easy to manage events that will help showcase the businesses that want to participate.
Okay, great. So overall, for the businesses that would need financial help or just help, it's good to turn to their alliances first, and their trade businesses, if they're in the hair salon business or restaurant business, those alliances first before trying to go federal or state to try to get capital monies that way then.
Yeah, I think that what happens is in the organization, they will say, this money is available. And this is the information that's important about what you do. Having, good business records is really helpful. Having access to your payroll ledgers and, understanding what your overhead is, not just rent. That having, good best practices is a good idea, because then when something becomes available, it's not like you're hunting, where's my lease? It should be right in that drawer, ready to go. And and the businesses have, I guess those trade groups have definitely helped them say in concise way, this is what you need to do. Then our organization and the Chamber of Commerce as well in town is a great, another advertising resource and support for the businesses that we've been able to write letters of recommendation that have talked about, what a major part that the businesses have played. I know that I wrote 5 or 6 letters for our businesses, and by the time they get to that stage, they're still in the hunt. A lot of folks found out, by Wednesday that they weren't in the queue and the money's gone. Wow. So there's still some folks that are getting these, don't have to pay back forgiven loans, which is, I guess, a grant, which is really, really helpful but it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah. What are 2 or 3 things that you would tell a business owner to do now? Like if you could say, do these things now, and that will help them successfully emerge from COVID-19 and keep them going further.
Yeah, I think that the best thing that they can do is provide information to the customer about what they're offering. Social media is a great way to advertise your business, and being able to tell folks what the safety procedures are, how when you're walking into a hair salon, we're taking your temperature, your hand sanitized, there's a plastic cape for you, we're going to seat you 6 feet away from somebody else, there's a partition. What that all looks like in the interior of the store is really, really important. For our restaurant inventory, posting what you're making that day is really helpful. 2 ways. One is that people will know you have wings and not, macaroni that day, or, this is your special hamburger, and this is what's available. People also need to know where to park. And if there's, contactless pickup, contactless as we get better with the COVID vaccine. And actually, Dr. Versa talked about that. I'm not a big vax girl. I didn't want to get this vaccine. And I know we were talking online today.
Yeah.
I went, but I went because I believe that I'm a leader in the business community, and I want us to get back to school, get back to church, get back to, being able to walk in a business and sit next to my friends that I haven't seen in a while. It's important to me, was more important to me to be able to make sure that my friends and family are safe in this world now, that I took the vaccine. I wanted to make sure that I was going to go before my kids and Ricky. Actually, I really wanted Rick to go before me, but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
So, I went. So I think that being able for business owners to clearly outline for the customer what they can expect from them is important. And I think that that's what people, they're looking. You get up and you flip on your phone and you're seeing what's out there. There's businesses that regularly post all the time, and friends of our businesses need to like, share, and make a comment.
Absolutely.
And that is all really important, because more people see the post, Bev, that the more people that see it and the more times you comment, then more people end up seeing it. And that is a great way to help our business owners stay in the hunt.
Yeah. And it's funny, I had that same conversation earlier with someone about the algorithm. There's an algorithm. If you don't like something or even just put an emoji here or there, it's going to eventually roll out of your feed and you'll never see it. It's like, well, I didn't know you didn't post it. I'm like, I've been posting. You need to like it.
Yep. Like, share, and comment. It's funny because we the Downtown Alliance is coming out with an app, and one of the things on the app will be an icon for Facebook, because I'm always telling my board that if you don't see whatever Downtown's posting, you need to go find it, comment, like, and share it. And now they're not going to have any excuse, because they're going to have a button, so they'll be able to find the Downtown page no matter what. That's another thing that will help us be able to help the downtown businesses and then businesses in the entire town, for people to have more information readily available to them.
Great. And please let the audience know where they can find more information out about the Downtown West Orange Alliance.
The best information is our Facebook and our website. So it's downtownwo.com.
Okay. All right. Plain and simple. Well, thank you. This has been a lot of good information. And please, anyone that's watching, if you have any questions for our guests, put them in the comments and we'll be happy to answer them. And now I'd like to bring in my third guest. It's recording artist Carl Brister. Hey, from wherever you are. He's also my husband.
Yeah. So, hey, baby, how are you? You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Looking beautiful as always.
Thank you. Thank you. So, in addition to you being a recording artist, successful recording artist, you're also an educator, and you have been for a number of years, and who's also been highly effective. What, in your professional opinion, do you believe would be the best ways that parents and teachers can get prepared for their kids about to return back to school for the next school year?
Oh man. So they actually going back? Yay.
Yep. You guys are going back.
Just kidding. Just kidding, guys. Not really. No. It's been a year. So, I think there's going to be a new vocabulary word that parents, teachers, and students are going to have to really internalize. And that is the word adjust. It's one of those words that we say all the time, but don't ever really mean. But this time, everyone's going to have to mean it. We're going to have to adjust. When we fully return, and there are, parts of the country who, have already made the leap, but the expectation is that the education world will be back full-time learning by September. And we all will need to adjust, and in particular because learners need to feel safe. Safety is the highest priority for any learner to internalize information effectively, because they will not be able to focus if they're worried about their personal safety.
Right.
So if we're going back from a pandemic, and I'm a third grader, a fourth grader, and I've seen all these things on TV about this horrible disease, and now I'm going into this environment that I was told that I couldn't go into before, there's going to have to be some preparation for that. And there's going to have to be some adjustments. Down to the little things like, are we paperless? Or what is our procedure for passing out paper, for sharing paper? Are we doing that? Are we going to be in small groups learning in close quarters? Or now will our small groups have to be socially distanced? So, and what about our learning stations? If I'm a kindergartner who's now a first grader, so in New Jersey, a large part of that population never saw a classroom for their kindergarten year. And so they're going to need to learn what social distancing looks like in a classroom that they've never, ever seen before. And so they're going to need workstations that accommodate a kindergartner in that environment, where the teacher might actually be teaching most students in person, but also have his or her attention divided. And that's the lunchroom is going to look different. And that's a major socialization piece for students of all ages. And what does recess look like now? So we're all going to have to do a lot of adjusting. And, as much as I kid around, parents, we're going to have to remain partners in this process. So pre-pandemic, school was a drop-off, pull up, everybody out. I'll see you when we're done. But now, since the pandemic, we've learned now that the role of the parent is paramount. It is essential to this piece. And, students have, expectedly suffered some loss or slippage as it relates to learning goals. So parents are going to need to stay involved in the process and be a partner to their kids. So the new vocabulary word, boys and girls, everyone, is going to be adjust.
That's a big list, though, for parents and for administrators and people in the classroom. I think back to the time when our kids were small and we thought we read the books, we talked to the doctors and everything, and we thought we plugged up every hole and curved every sharp edge and thought that we baby-proofed the house until they started walking. And then, oh my gosh, there was a whole slew of things that they were touching and pulling and, about to, grab and throw that I had no idea. So I can imagine how overwhelming, it was overwhelming for us. I can imagine how overwhelming it would be for now the administrator to try to think through the process, like just simple things of not passing out paper and now going to a digital format for servicing, providing instruction of what's needed for the homework or things like that. It's how do you keep up with all of that to try to think through a process of making sure that you're not, that you're being safe and socially distant in all of your activities like that?
Well, I think going back to what Dr. Aversa mentioned and then Megan confirmed is that we're all making changes as we go, from the small businesses to the CDC and the information that is being provided daily. We're all just staying attuned to the latest and greatest, and we're making adjustments. And then in the case of the small businesses, many didn't know what they needed until they got in the situation, and then they figured it out. And that's why the word adjustment is a fluid term, because it happens along the way. You cannot fully prepare for an experience that no one has ever had before. But as you go through it, you learn and you make adjustments. And teachers in particular are used to doing this. Effective teachers are used to having a lesson plan, having a plan when you walk into the classroom, executing that plan, and then evaluating it. What went well? What could have been better? What was effective? What can I do to make it work even better? We're used to that. Educators are used to that. So I think that as we go along, we will work out. As long as we all remember that none of us have been here before and we work together.
Okay. Well, good advice. Really, really good advice. So as an accomplished singer and songwriter, how do you see music being used to get people through this pandemic?
Well, for me, everything translates musically, as you know, as I I drive you crazy sometimes. But but it's also helped me retain my sanity in the midst of all of this. And I use it to help others the same way. So when your dad was in the nursing home, and the nursing homes had gone through such a time, and we would visit via Zoom.
Right.
Myself and our sons, we had an opportunity to use music to play to him. And then not only was he listening, but the nursing aides behind the scenes were listening.
Yeah.
And it turns out they were the ones who were touched, even just as your dad was. So, I've used it in that way, and I've created music and music videos that have shown the times that we're in and called everyone to love through it. And I think music just, goes deep. It goes beyond the physical. It touches the soul. And it sort of helps soothe from the inside out. I can't explain it, but it's what it does. And I just try to use it in whatever way I can.
Absolutely. And speaking of your music, can you please share with the audience where they can find your music?
I sure will. That's why she's the boss. Just so everyone knows, she is the boss. So, you can find my music and everything Carl Brister on my website, which is carlbrister.com, created by boss lady herself, Beverly. I'm on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I better get this right again because she is the boss. And I'm here on YouTube at Carl Brister Official. So you can also subscribe to my channel here as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. And, I just appreciate everyone's time here. I'm going to bring my other guests back. I think this has been so informational. Thank you all for your expertise and your wealth of knowledge to share with all of us. And if anyone missed any part of this, this will be on the replay. What are those?
My notes.
And other bosses taking notes from bosses.
Oh,
and thank you so much. And again, we have Dr. Lori Colyer-Aversa, a 20-year veteran in the pediatric medicine field. We have Megan Brill, who's been in West Orange for many years, but she's been the executive director for the Downtown West Orange Alliance for a number of years, and my husband, Carl Brister, who is a recording artist and successful educator who's been ranked highly effective. He is going to share a song with us now, and can you tell us a little bit about the song that you are going to share?
So I wanted to leave everyone with some encouraging music, something that I created during the pandemic. There's a song called LOVE, and it's what I believe helps us all get through this time, which is to love one another. And this is my newest release, and a new remix is going to be out as well this month. And so I'm happy to share it, and I'm so proud of you, Bev. Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
All right, so this is the song, LOVE.
How could this have come? Thought that you would stay. It seems now that you're gone, spirit's gone away, home to be with him, where the angels sound his praise, resting safe with him, heaven's pearly gates. You will always be forever with me, in my memories, you're forever. With me. Well, I find peace in knowing that you're okay. There'll be no more dying there in a better place. And one thing that's for sure, you don't have to cry no more. So just for a while, I'll think about your smile. You will always with me.
Thank you. Wow.
Bravo.
Chills every time.
That was actually Forever With Me. That was from my first project, but it's also a song that I sang at Dad's homegoing service after he passed away from having COVID. And I just wanted to encourage everybody who's missing their loved one, that though they're not with us physically, they are forever with us in our hearts, and to hold on to those memories and cherish them.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, wonderful. So, thank you all, everyone, again for tuning in to Boss Talk Roundtable, special edition of Boss Talk. I hope that you found all of this information importantly, just great info to take for yourself and to share with others. Please, you can go back and see any part that you missed. It will be on my Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Beverly's Webshop, as well as my YouTube page. You go to YouTube and just search for Beverly's Webshop, and you'll find the replay there. So again, I thank you, all my guests, for coming in tonight. Meg Brill, Meg Brill of the Downtown West Orange Alliance, Dr. Lori Colyer-Aversa, a 20-year veteran of pediatric medicine, and of course my husband, Carl Brister. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.